I took myself out on a date, and it was Valentine's Day of February 2024. And I walked into that restaurant and I took my journal with me, and I had wrote myself a card, and I said, "Beautiful Sue, I'm so proud of you." And then I wrote, "From Sue 2.0." And I had a lovely meal. I just enjoyed the evening. I ate my wonderful meal. I had a glass of wine. And on my way out, this lady stopped me and she said, "Wow, I just want to say how wonderful you look." And that just topped the evening. And when I left that day and I posted that, I thought, wow, girl, you can do it. You can arise above what just took place with your life.
Live from the Never Too Late stage in sunny Sarasota, Florida, it's the Never Too Late Show! Tonight's guest proves it's never too late to reinvent yourself and do what you love. And now, helping women turn what now into watch this, here's your host, Teresa Rowena.
Have you ever spent so many years being somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's partner, or somebody's caregiver that one day you stop and wonder, who am I now? My guest today found herself facing exactly that question. For decades, Sue Fraser helped build a life centered around family, horses, travel, and one of Canada's most successful Chuckwagon racing teams. Then something changed. What followed was a journey of rediscovery, courage, and learning how to create a life that was truly her own. This is a conversation about reinvention, resilience, and what happens when you stop asking who you've been and start discovering who you can become. Here's my conversation with Sue Fraser. Let's start with 10 years ago. If we were to go back 10 years, what would you be doing? What was your life like 10 years ago?
I was a wife to a man who had a passion for horses, and we lived a life on the trail of chuckwagon racing. We raised 3 kids in this lifestyle, and at one point I homeschooled for 5 years with them.
Wow.
And
Commitment on top of everything else, right?
it really was. I was that wife that was fully 100% behind my husband at the time, supporting him in the passion that he wanted to live.
Let me ask you, I'm curious, how much of that passion did you share? Were you loving every minute of it, or was it more about being supportive of him?
I really didn't know what I was getting into. I remember thinking this man that I married had a not so good upbringing. And I remember telling myself, whether it was vocally or just in my thoughts, was that I want to take this little boy and make him a champion. And together we did it. We really did. We won 2 world champions and many, many more races along the way. I was his supportive wife, and all the people that knew us and followed along the sport, they knew that of us. Like, we were really tied together like glue and did everything together. I was the wife that did it all. I cooked, I cleaned, I packed, I rode horses, I brushed, I cleaned all the barns and what have you. And so I was his main support, and he knew it. And he always appreciated, he always said it in interviews, I was the spoke of the whole operation. And if without me, it wouldn't have run quite as smoothly. So he was appreciative. I know that.
You said one time in something I read that talked about being known as Rick Fraser's wife. That rings to me like a lack of your own personal identity. Did that have any impact on you? How did you feel about that?
At the time, it was fine because we were a couple. We were married for many years, a total of 37 years. It didn't faze me. It was just who we were. It was who we were. It wasn't until he decided to depart that I questioned myself and thought, who am I? Who am I now? It was devastating because I didn't know who I was. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. It's a big turning point in your life. And
Yeah.
I'm sure many of our viewers and listeners can relate. They're either standing on the precipice of that or have gone through it or considering it. And sometimes it just hits us and we have no choice. It's just like,
Yes.
bam,
Yeah.
this is your life now. So when that happened to you, when the changing, you found yourself having to navigate this transition, how did you do that? What was your first reaching out? How did you start taking care of yourself after that happened?
When it first happened and he told me, I was totally devastated, shocked, disbelief, just thought he was going through a bit of a time and just needed some space. But it wasn't that. It was very difficult. I was wading through the grief, trying to get through each and every day. I didn't know what to do at first. And for days, I had to have a bath. I am not much of a bath person, but I had to have a bath and just soak just to be. And I remember also saying that there was thoughts of just submerging myself and never coming up. However, I knew that I had children that depended on me and other people. And so that wasn't an option. But it felt good each and every day just to fill the tub up and just be. So that was kind of, I guess, when thinking about your question, that was the beginning of some type of healing. Healing doesn't happen overnight by any means. Another thing that I did was I have some relatives that we often see, and they're actually like parents to me and to my family. And I went to their doorstep, to their home 2, 3 times a week. And my daughter, so Bonnie had asked my daughter, she's so in such terrible straits, what can we do for her? And my daughter answered to her answer to Bonnie was, you're doing exactly what she needs. You're opening your door for her and allowing her to sit, to sleep, to eat, to just be. And I'll never forget those days. It's just what I needed. And cry as well. And so that was another part of the healing that took place. Once I started realizing this is for real, that's when I started, somebody had given me a name of somebody about an hour away, and she was kind of, I'm going to, her modality was kind of more in the spiritual realm, yoga, just different things that she did. And so I had 6 weeks with her. So once a week I went and basically I sat on her couch, and pretty much most days I just cried. And we went through some different things, rituals, just being actually. And it was a safe place. And so that was really good. And then from there, I ended up realizing that yes, I needed some therapy as well. And so I had reached out for therapies, and family and friends are really good, but they get drained from the issues at hand. And so it's very important to reach out of that circle
and get professional help in your situation or consultation. So as you move through this, when did you start feeling more yourself? At what point did something happen that you looked around and you went, wow, I think I'm moving forward now?
Honestly, it took quite a while.
I want to interrupt you there and just ask you, in that process, what surprised you the most about starting over?
The strength actually probably came from the 4 years prior that I literally had to clean out that small ranch by myself. I ended up taking videos each and every day of myself, showing all the things that I had to do that day. And I haven't looked back on hardly any of them. I poked my nose in a little bit because that's part of healing too. I know I still have healing to do. But I realized through all that I could do it. I was strong enough to each and every day do the duties that had to be done to get through selling that property. Another turning point actually that was really cool was I took myself out on a date, and it was, I believe, Valentine's Day of February 2024. And I had told a group of gals, I ended up making the reservation. I dressed up in a beautiful white, creamy, sparkly dress. I put on heels. There was snow out. We're in Canada. I put on this old vintage, but it looked new, leather coat that I found at a thrift store. I'm a thrifty. And I put it on and I did a video of this. And I videoed myself and I told people where I was going. And I took myself for supper. And it was the hardest thing to do, but yet it was the most wonderful experience I had in a long time. And I walked into that restaurant and I took my journal with me and I had wrote myself a card as well. And I said, beautiful Sue, I'm so proud of you, and a few other things. And I said, you are, and then I wrote from Sue 2.0. And I had a lovely meal. There was many other people in there that were couples that were eating, and I didn't shed a tear. I just enjoyed the evening. I ate my wonderful meal. I had a glass of wine. And on my way out, this lady stopped me and she said, wow, I just want to say how wonderful you look. And that just topped the evening. And when I left that day and I posted that, I thought, wow, girl, you can do it. You can arise above what just took place with your life.
That's a beautiful thing, because I was just going to ask you, what did you learn from that experience? Was there something in addition to that that you learned?
I just learned that I am a person. That I don't need to be codependent anymore. That, we are birthed into this world alone and we're going to leave alone. And that each and every one of us needs to understand that we are our own person, even if we do have a partner for life, that I am important.
In this process, what has it led you to? What are you doing now as you move forward in your life?
I actually ended up going to Bali in latter 2025, and that was a wonderful experience of a women's healing retreat. And then I had gotten into some courses, self-development courses. I had never gone to college. I'd never gone to university. I did get a diploma, but I got married quite quickly after high school. And so I was always a wife. So I decided, you know what, it's time to do something for me. So I decided I needed to put on a retreat myself for women that are grieving, not necessarily a divorce, but grieving in any parts of their life for any reason. And the interesting thing was, back at the very beginning of this divorce, when I was told, in the very first gal that I had been with for some help, she had got me onto a meditation app. And in this meditation app, there was a lady that I really tuned to, and she talked about flow writing. And I had done flow writing on the app with her. And it was 10 minutes long. You could write for 10 minutes. And what flow writing is, you have your paper, you have your pen, and you put the timer on, and for 10 minutes you write whatever thoughts come to you. It's a very healing, amazing journey. And so I did this, and my tears were flowing. I don't remember what I wrote, but I had commented in her thread there to let her know that, wow, that was so powerful. I wish it lasted for 30 minutes. And in this comment, it said, and I hope one day that I can bring it to other women in a retreat. And I didn't know I wrote this until about a month or so ago. I found it. And here I was putting on a women's retreat with flow writing.
Wow.
And yeah, so powerful, right? We put these things into the universe and they do come about. And so, yes, last month I held a retreat for women and it turned out amazing. I didn't know I could do something like that, but I did. I put it together. I also shared parts of my story, not in depth, but what it did was it allowed the other women there to realize that I'm just not putting on a retreat. I'm also one of those women who have suffered and went through grief of my own experience.
Yeah.
So I was a real person, allowing them to come into a safe space to be heard and felt as well.
Have you come across anything in this process? Is there any conversation about being too old?
I don't even call it being old. I call it being young and aging, I suppose. So no, I aspire to so many people. Like, you look at Louise Hay, I follow a lot of her content, And she started late in life, and look at what she has, the legacy she left behind with her Hay publishing house. And so you're never too old to begin anything. And so when we allow the doors to be open to what our interests might be, you never know what can happen.
You know, for women in different stages of their life, this whole thing about when your life goes through these transitions and now you're in a position of reinvention, you know, because it's forced upon you. The life you knew is no longer your life. And so now you're either going to be reinventing your life by design or by default, just whatever happens. And I especially like the part about your documentation of moving out of the ranch.
It is, it truly is. And I think that's come to mind is that I have been making videos and putting content out there. And another content that I had put out was the very last day that I was leaving that ranch. And I walked around that ranch house and I videoed. And I just thought it was important, and first of all, for me to talk about what that place gave me and the experiences. And it was beautiful. And the purpose of doing these were firstly for me, but also for others that it may touch. And I actually had a gentleman reach out to me, and he had seen it. I don't know him. We might be friends of friends, I'm not sure. But he said, "Hey, thanks for posting that." He said, "I too am in a house and the kids never come back." And he said, "It's going up for sale tomorrow because you had said at the end of your video that you shared a story about a lady that you had visited back in the day when our kids were younger, and I had to go to her house for something. And when I got in there, I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful house." And she said, and I never forgot it. She said, "Don't be fooled. A house doesn't make a home."
Wow.
And I was shocked. I never forgot that. And I realized right then what she meant. You can live anywhere, but it might be the best, beautifulest, most expensive house, but it doesn't make a home. A home is the people within it that make the home.
That kind of leads me to the question of, so what gets better with age? What are you finding that your experience and what you've been through, how is that helping you in a way that you didn't expect?
I kept asking myself, what lights my fire? I honestly didn't know because my life was so ingrained with my husband and his passion, right? And not that it was bad, it was good. We have very many good memories. So what I did was I just started joining things. I had dabbled in a lot of these different things. I think another one was photography. A lot of them I didn't finish, but it doesn't mean that I'm a failure. What it means is that I've taken the opportunity to try them. They're still open there to do if I see fit to finish them. But it made me realize that there's lots of opportunities there. And sometimes it takes a while to figure out what just lights a person's fire and where they should be going.
This is where what stops a lot of people, women in particular, is that stepping into the unknown to go and pack up and take off alone and go to rodeos and photograph. What would you say to women who have fear, for lack of a better word, of actually stepping into some of these things alone? What words of advice would you have for them?
I too still have fears of doing some things, but I just have to talk myself, no, you know what? It's okay. If you don't do it, nothing's ever going to happen. And I think also at this age of life, not that I think, I know, because older people than me have said, we just start not caring what other people think. You just go and do it, right? When you're younger, you're more apt to, oh, this and that, and they're going to say this and that. But no, now you get older and it just doesn't matter.
That is one thing that gets better with age, right?
Yeah, it's 100%. We just don't care what people think.
We don't care. This is me. Purple dress and my red hat. Here I come.
Like it or not, this is me. Yeah.
So how has that impacted you? Do you have a newfound confidence? Do you feel you could do anything you set your mind to?
I believe that is true, that if I really want to do it, I will do it. That girl is still inside that thinks, okay, I can do it. Give it to me and I'll do it.
Let me ask you, do the words, it's never too late, what does that mean to you?
It's never too late to step out and be your own person who is within. There's just so much more life to live. Each and every day, we only have this day. We never know what tomorrow's going to bring. And yesterday is history. We do have to make the most of it. We have choices.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
I learned so much through my kids, and I learned so much through my husband that taught me so many things. Driving a big old Freightliner truck and pulling horses and all those things, that would have never happened. And so it gave me also so much confidence moving forward in the life I'm living today. So I often say to people as well that divorce is a beautiful thing. Would I like to repeat that again after? No, thank you. But it is. It's a beautiful thing. It's brought me so many more things of abundance and gratitude for what has been given to me afterwards.
That's beautiful. So how can people get in touch with you, Sue, to learn more about your story and your perhaps your retreats or whatever else might be going on in the future with you? Such a pleasure getting to know you and hearing about your story, and most importantly, your growth that's come out of this experience. And I am sure that your story is going to be very impactful and helpful for other women, our viewers and listeners. And Sue, just keep on doing you, girl, because you're fabulous.
Thank you so much, Teresa.
Okay. Folks, that's it for us today. I'm Teresa Bueno, and we'll see you next week. And remember, it's never too late.